Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's Facebook Live. My name is Julie Ann Fay, and this is your new full moon astrology walkthrough. I'll be talking about the upcoming new moon in Sagittarius. So I've got that chart ready here. I just want to check that I am going live. So let me do that. Everyone, welcome. Okay, looks good. So if you're here, please leave a comment in the chat so that I can know that you're here and say hello. And if you're new to this series, so I do several different Facebook Live, YouTube series. I have my Stars with the Stars series, which is when I do celebrity astro chart walkthroughs. I have my new and full moon astrology Facebook Lives. And then I also have my cards for the collective, which is when I exclusively do oracle card readings. So I do lots of Facebook Lives throughout the month. You can find those on my event page, on my business page. My business page is facebook.com/Julie Ann Fay 888. And if you go here to events, this should be linked in the description of this video, whether you're watching this on YouTube or the replay on Facebook. But if you go here to events, you can see all the different series that I have going on. Each one I've customized a specific image for. And you can see the times and the days. The times sometimes do fluctuate. So the best way to keep kind of up to date is to be liking and following my Facebook business page and marking interested or going on an event, because then Facebook will update you, remind you about the event taking place. So this event that I'm doing is the new and full moon astrology walkthrough, because believe it or not, even though it feels like just yesterday that we had a full moon in Taurus, we're already up for the next major moon phase, which is this upcoming new moon in Sagittarius. So I also want to do a quick shout out to my YouTube. So if you're watching this on my YouTube, welcome, welcome. If you're watching this on my Facebook, please go over to my YouTube and give it some love. You're welcome to subscribe, check out other videos I have on there. You can see there's a lot of videos on this YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch from the archived other Stars with the Stars I've done, like Freddie Mercury, Rami Malek, various people from I Dream of Jeannie. You can watch other new and full moons. You can watch other cards for the collective. Some of these are pick a cards. So definitely head over there and check out, explore all that's there. Feel free to drop likes and comments on videos that you watch. I love to know when people are on my channel watching and leaving, and when you leave a comment, I can know that you're there. So I wanted to do a shout out to that. And a really good way to learn is actually to go back over information. So, you know, a lot of times in the astrology community, people will talk about like an upcoming new or full moon, and there'll be a lot of buzz about it leading up to it, when it happens, and maybe a little bit like a couple days after, but then people kind of forget about it and move on. And sometimes a specific new or full moon can be very powerful and transformative for you. So as an astrologer, and just for my own personal development, my own 2 cents on it is that I'm always going back into things and looking at how I can revisit information or comb over things or learn new information. And one of the ways of doing that is reviewing, you know, information and kind of doing an assessment about the past and thinking about certain energy themes. So it can be very productive to watch like even a previous new or full moon talk and think about, okay, well, what was present to me energetically at that time, you know, and kind of what's come to pass since then, and using some of these talks reflectively could be really of value. So I wanted to do a shout out to that. And what else did I want to say? I think that that's everything. So let's kind of dive in here. So we are close. I was thinking of close to and slowly at the same time, and I don't know what word I was going for. We are like slowly but surely closing in on the end of this year, this 2019 year. And personally, I can't wait. This has been a very challenging year for me, very mutable and all over the place. And I am so looking forward to Jupiter moving into Capricorn. you know, depending upon which astrologer you follow or listen to, you might not hear the same thing. And I think that that's because each astrologer is going to project from their own personal belief systems and their own elemental energies in their chart, right? And one of the major themes that I follow in my business, you can literally see it on my Instagram, like my kind of my header there in my bio, you know, is that I help people understand that life is cycles and rhythms. So the truth of the matter is that we've been in a very fire cycle, a very mutable fire cycle, because Jupiter has been transiting in Sagittarius. And it's important to look at Jupiter because Jupiter is the biggest planet. And we've also had a lot of Capricorn energy going on, which is going to become a lot more important as we move into December and then especially into 2020. So it's not to say that Sagittarius is the only influence by any means, because certainly there are major planets in Capricorn, Neptune's in Pisces, and then of course we have all the inner planets that are always moving and changing all the time, as well as eclipses. There's so many things in astrology, right? Which is why I love it so much. But when a certain planet, such as Jupiter, shifts signs, which it goes through one sign every year, so Jupiter has like a 12-year cycle, when that shifts, it creates different relationships with the planets around it, which can be helpful or sometimes challenging or confusing. It can be constructive or it can be destructive. So Jupiter being in Sagittarius has been a lot of mutable energy. Mutable energy means that it changes a lot and sometimes can be not necessarily unpredictable, because that's like more Uranian, but it's just a lot of change, a lot of exploration, a lot of change. It's not very grounded. And especially when we think about something like Neptune being in Pisces, which is a very long-standing transit we've been under, Pisces is another mutable sign. So we have been through cycles this year of push and pull, of squares between Neptune and Jupiter, because they're in two mutable signs, which can be challenging, you know. And then if you yourself are one of those mutable signs, like a Pisces, Sagittarius, or Virgo, I'm like a super strong Virgo, so this has been really affecting me. You are kind of caught up in what I like to affectionately call a mutable mess, where there's so much energy, there's all these arrows pointing in different directions, and there's so much energy going in different directions, but it's like ultimately what's actually grounded and stable and productive from that. Now, if you're a fire sign, you're probably having a very different experience with this Jupiter and Sagittarius transit, because that's another fire, it's the same element. So when Jupiter moves into Capricorn, that's going to change up the energy for fire signs. It's going to change up the energy for fire and air signs who have been having more alchemy with their natal planets because of Jupiter being in a fire sign. If you are an earth or water sign, you're going to notice more as a general rule. It depends on what's in your chart. Obviously, there could still be conflicting energies, but earth and water signs as a general rule are going to start to see improvements with Jupiter moving into Capricorn, because that's going to, if you're an earth sign, trine your earth planets, or if you are a water sign, sextile, you know, your planets. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the pulse of where we're at with some things. And let's get a little deeper into this new moon in Sag. I have my natal Saturn is in Sagittarius, so this is a bit of a serious time for me. A lot of work and structure and looking at karmic patterns, and also just being really serious about a lot of things with the direction I want things to move forward with, you know. And I myself am just so ready for the shifting of the tide with Jupiter and Cap, because I really feel like we need grounding. I know I need grounding, and I have like so many planets on Earth. But I think also the collective needs grounding, you know, because there's been a lot of exploration, a lot of communication, a lot of exploring different spiritual paths, learning pathways, higher learning pathways, but ultimately it's kind of time to start buckling down and getting stuff done and not having so much mutability all the time. So I really think that we need this, you know, upcoming shift with all this Capricorn energy. And I personally am super looking forward to the eclipses with the Capricorn energy and all of it. I just feel like it's really necessary, because it can't be all fire all the time, you know. says my Saturn in Sagittarius. So let's look at the chart here for new moon in Sag. Oh, and I just want to show you real quick. So we can see here November 26th, the new moon in Sag at 10:05 a.m. at 4 degrees. So this particular new moon is actually squaring I have a series of planets in early Virgo from like 3 to 6 degrees. Where's here we are. So all of that's actually squaring this particular new moon, which is definitely a tense aspect for me. And I'm already beginning to feel that, even though we're like about, 4 or 5 days out. But as I was saying, cycles and rhythms. The last full moon in Taurus was extremely liberating for me and felt so good, So now it's time for a different flavor of energy. So depending upon what's in your chart and who you are, you might be having a total flip-flop. Maybe the last full moon in Taurus was really challenging for you, but this one's very exciting for you. This is why each of us are unique and we have these individual fingerprints, and our charts are a mosaic of all those different energies that we are made up of, right? So we all have different unique sensitivities to what is shifting and changing, and therefore different experiences because of that. So kind of in and around this, we do have Venus moving into Capricorn the day before this new moon. The sun is entering Sagittarius actually tomorrow. As I'm recording this for you on Thursday night, the sun is moving into Sagittarius tomorrow morning. We have Neptune direct coming up after the new moon is in Sag, and then a few days after that we have Jupiter entering into Capricorn, just to give you kind of like a snapshot of what's happening right now. So let's talk about this new moon. You can see it here. So we have the sun and the moon together at 4 degrees of Sag. So if you are a Sagittarius between 0 degrees up to possibly even up to 14 degrees, even if you're a very late Scorpio, so like so we would give it like a 10-degree orb. So around 24 degrees of Scorpio there. Is that 6 and then 10? Yeah. So from 24 degrees of Scorpio up to even 14 degrees of Sag, you want to look at that section of your chart. But really the people that are going to feel it the most are maybe like 28 degrees of Scorpio to about 8 degrees of Sag. And especially if you're like within a 5-degree orb of 4 degrees. So in either direction, you'll be feeling it really strongly, as will people who have an opposition here. So people that are Geminis that are around, 0 to 4 degrees of Gem or 4 to 8 degrees of Gemini. And then, of course, the other mutable signs, so early Virgo, like I was talking about with myself. So any personal planets at the end of Leo, very end of Leo, like 28 degrees of Leo up to, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10, pushing it a little bit, but in that range, the first 10 degrees of Virgo, they'll also be feeling this, as will people with Pisces energy and the first 10 degrees as well. So all of the mutable signs will be feeling this quite strongly. So that would be Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. The fire signs will be experiencing a trine, depending upon what degree your fire signs are in. So that entirely depends on your chart. Air signs will have sextiles, and the earth signs, if you are one of the cardinals, then it might not be affecting you as much because it's not quite forming like a specific type of aspect. But anyway, so we can see here that one of the things I noticed right away about this new moon is that it's trining over to Chiron. So Chiron is at 1 degree of Aries. It's in retrograde. And this is definitely, this particular placement for Chiron is bringing in, I'm actually being guided to talk about it leaving Pisces. So earlier this year, Chiron left Pisces. It's been a lot of time back and forth in Pisces, and it's been done with that now for a little while. But this was excavating a lot of deep wounds about our compassions, our sensitivity, our oneness, a very, very sensitive placement for Chiron. So now that Chiron's in Aries, it's got a different flavor, It's more about not feeling like you're strong enough, not feeling like you have the physical capacity to do things. So this could be wounds about the body or the physical fitness of the body, because Aries is Mars ruled, so that's related to our drive, right? And also along with that, Mars energy carries, the energy of the head, the mind, and the ego. So this can be also feeling wounded that, there are aspects within you that aren't being acknowledged. So this could be things that are related to your own inner, ego feelings. And I say that with love, like your own feelings of needing validation or acknowledgement, or looking at kind of like what's in it for me, different things like that. So there could be some wounds there around not feeling like you're validated or seen or heard. I also want to pull up my blog really quick, because I did actually write a blog post recently. I've been writing more and more on my blog, but I did write a blog post recently where I was talking about Saturn and Uranus in the same house, and I called it the ruler. Saturn and Uranus in the same house. So I definitely recommend giving this a read. It's a reflective piece for me, so it alternates between styles of blog posts. I have fun, informative ones. I have very reflective coming up that are a little more. So I really do on a lot of different topics on my blog. It's definitely a form of creative expression for me and providing. So that's not quite loading up. So I'm gonna rain check that for a quick sec. But definitely be, you'll see, because I will post on my Facebook business. Absolutely get notified when new blog posts are written, because you see it in the email newsletter. I also wanted to do a shout out. I'm just remembering now too, all this mutable energy. There is, there are things happening around the world all the time, right, that can be upsetting or traumatizing or of concern, because there's things that we need to do. For me, one of the things that really affects a lot is environmental issues, because being a fairy soul, I'm really passionate about the environment and the protecting of the planet and the animals on it. So it looks like everything's being a little sluggish right now. But essentially, it came to my attention that there's a lot of happening in Australia. This is actually really devastating a lot of the wildlife in that area, including koalas that are being burned and losing homes and actually becoming severely injured or dying from these fires. And I watched this video on Instagram. It was really upsetting to me. I actually cried for a long time after watching this video, because it really affected me. I really felt the pain of what the animals were going through, the need for help, and kind of like desperation that, we have to pay attention to what's happening on our planet. We really have to care. I feel like there's just a lack of people that care about things in the world, and I think that we have a responsibility to, I know for me, I'm getting kind of emotional here, but it's like, for me, one of my missions is to be a voice for the voiceless. And I really feel like animals need our help to speak up for them, and the planet as well, nature as well, because we are responsible to it, and we should be responsible to it in a way that is of love and of light. So I was very affected by this video, and decided to do a reading special, which I'm doing for the next like 4 to 5 days. I was trying to get to the homepage so you could see it. Let's see if it's here. Yeah. I'm doing a reading special where I'm literally donating 100% of the amount of the reading to this animal hospital in Australia that is helping with injured, kangaroos. Because for me, I just really want to send some love and some money and some attention down there, because it's really needed. And you can just go on Instagram and look up #AustraliaFires, and you can see lots of posts. And I have this all over my Insta story right now, because I just really want to spread the word. And I have here in the comment of this post, you can see, I've got it all explained here, what this is. So I'm doing this specifically for like a 3-card spread. So that would be valued at $33.33, and I'm literally going to donate 100% of the proceeds of people that get that reading between now and November 25th. And I'm donating the money to this koala hospital in Australia. So if you're interested in that, you can send me a DM on Instagram at JulieAnnFay, or you can email me at julieannfay@gmail.com. And if you're not able to do that right now, please just spread the word, make other people aware of what's going on in other parts of the world, and, you know, really do your best to care, because I feel like there's just a general apathy that people have. I know that we're all going through our own individual struggles, but I think it's also important to care about these people and places and spaces that are suffering and need love and attention. I think that's really important. And, you know, because we're all kind of together on this planet, right? So anyway, off that soapbox now. So let's go back over to the chart. And let's see where we're at. So we've got this Sun-Moon conjunction that's trining down to Chiron. So this is providing stimulation in the form of wisdom about the ways that you can heal these wounds. So you might be having like the right healers or the right lessons or the right learning things come across your path that are teaching you how to heal these ego wounds or how to heal these physical perceived wounds, right? It's like all of a sudden out of nowhere, maybe you discover this like new fitness app, or maybe you discover this new healing modality that can help you with like these deep kind of repressed wounds about not feeling like you're strong enough or good enough or seen enough or things like that. You know, I'm a huge fan of EFT, emotional freedom technique, to support that. So definitely check that out. Also though, it's a bit of a paradox, because at the same time that we've got this healing element in harmony, we also have, actually in a tighter aspect, because this is within 1 degree, that's within 3 degrees, we have, you know, Venus squaring over to Chiron. So this is a bit of a tense aspect for sure, because Venus in Capricorn is not necessarily in the best place. Venus in Capricorn carries a sense of responsibility. It makes it like a Venus-Saturn conjunction, you know, so it carries this sense of like a burden, you know, and a responsibility, and this karmic energy, this heavy energy, the sense of responsibility to family even, or other people. It can also be kind of like a depressive aspect, because it can suck out a little bit of the fun that Venus would like to have. Venus would prefer to be in like Pisces or even a fire sign, with exception to Aries. Aries is a bit of a tricky one for Venus, but it also, you know, it's exalted in Libra and Taurus, where it has patience and time to explore beautiful things. So Venus in Capricorn changes that game, and it makes it a lot more about work and responsibility and kind of structure and order. So it's getting joy out of relationships, maybe business relationships, or getting joy out of work and completing responsibilities. So having Venus square Chiron is an element where it's like you're now very aware. And we also have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction here, which is, you know, Venus has already passed over that Jupiter and now is into Chiron, and Jupiter is going to be moving into, or sorry, it's moved into Capricorn, but Jupiter will be moving into Capricorn soon too. So they're like totally with each other. So this is amplifying it, whether for good or bad, it's amplifying it. Generally, Venus-Jupiter is a really sweet, harmonious conjunction to have. You know, in this case, it could be like, well, it's tricky because it's an out-of-sign conjunction, but like in this case, it could be that you're feeling like this overwhelming sense of responsibility and burdens about things that you have to do, right? So it could be actually amplifying your stress load a little bit. I know I'm definitely feeling that. But they're also not speaking the exact same language right now, which isn't helping. So as Jupiter moves into Cap, that will help things. Because right now, this one, you know, it's like Jupiter speaking French and Venus is speaking Italian. They're similar, but they're not speaking like the entirely same language. So that's also contributing to it. But going back to this Venus square Chiron, so yeah, it's like you have a lot of responsibilities on your plate. You have a lot of things to do. And there's probably an element to you that feels almost like, I don't have enough energy, I don't have enough strength, I don't have enough willpower, because Aries also represents Mars, our drive, our masculine energy, our willpower. It's like you're feeling like you don't have enough strength to get it all done. And or there's sometimes like a battle with your ego of, you know, is that really worth my time? But not in a way that's Taurian. It's more like, I don't want to do that. You know, kind of like this childish aspect coming out of you saying that you just don't want to do it. So there's definitely tension there, and that's pretty strong because that's like a 1 degree orb, you know. So at the same time that we're having some of that healing come in, we're also having some of this challenging energy where we are sometimes feeling immature about our responsibilities, or if it's like not the immaturity aspect, maybe it's this aspect of like woundedness around not feeling strong enough or having enough willpower, you know, to do what needs to get done. Adding to this story, we have Saturn, you know, and Pluto, which are close to each other there in Capricorn. They're both sextiling Neptune. So this is providing support. The Saturn with Neptune is the stronger one because that's within 2 degrees. Saturn's actually past Neptune now. Saturn's going to be moving through the final degrees of Capricorn. But this is definitely providing some structure to the spiritual path, the spiritual journey. So this is a positive aspect. And the way that you can tune into this is, you know, a good way to tune into Neptune is to connect with the subconscious. So the water element, baths, showers, visiting oceans, lakes, rivers, also meditation, yoga, really just kind of tuning into the feelings and the subconscious element. So as you do that, you might get awareness and downloads about things that feel good for you to do, to work on, you know, as part of your path. I myself get most of my downloads when I am doing my Kundalini yoga, or sometimes I do get very powerful downloads when I visit the ocean. And it's important to take time for that, you know. So this is a supportive element for sure, so that's good. We also have, because Jupiter is beginning to leave Sagittarius, this is beginning to form, but this will strengthen much more as Jupiter goes into Capricorn. So this will be more so into December, January. We have Jupiter starting to form a trine, which is a positive aspect to Uranus and early Taurus. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning, that, hi Brandy, so good to see you. This is what I was talking about at the beginning, that depending upon what type of sign you are, the type of element, that really determines the cycle and rhythm that you're in. So for example, myself as a Virgo, when Jupiter moves into Capricorn, this is going to create a grand trine for me with Jupiter in early Capricorn, Uranus in early Taurus, and my personal planets in early Virgo. So that's going to create a very harmonious, stable, kind of like life force of energy around work and groundedness and achieving things and getting things done. People that were fire signs would have experienced that when Jupiter moved into Sagittarius, and especially if they had maybe planets in the other fire sign, you know. So my fellow earth signs, better vibes are coming ahead for us in 2020, and even starting as soon as December 2019. So hang in there, my fellow earth signs. It really will get better, and I feel you. And especially my fellow Virgos and my fellow mutable signs like Pisces, Gemini, Sag. We've been going through so much mutability. So like I was saying earlier, we really need a lot of this grounding that's coming forward, and I personally am like really looking forward to it. But yeah, so we've got this trine starting to form. I'm going to be talking about that probably more in upcoming new or full moon, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But I did want to talk about this Venus square Chiron, and also this, you know, sun moon trining over to the Chiron as well, the Saturn sextile Neptune, and then there was one other aspect that jumped out. Yeah, so this Mars opposed Uranus, so I wanted to talk about that as well. Let's see how we're doing on time. Oh my gosh, we're already at 30 minutes. I can't believe it. All right, so I'm going to talk about this aspect, and then I'm going to wrap up, and Yeah, so we have Mars here at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So Mars was transiting in Libra for pretty much most of October and into November. It's finally left that space. It's now in Scorpio. Uranus is here at 3 degrees in Taurus, and it's actually retrograde. So this is a very strong opposition. This is within 1 degree. So if I could pinpoint the two strongest aspects in this chart, it would be this Mars opposed Uranus and this Venus square Chiron, because those are both within 1 degree. We also technically have a Jupiter square Chiron going on because it's getting close to the end there too. But especially this Venus square Chiron is really strong. So we've got Mars opposed Uranus. So this means that, well, first you want to watch out for sometimes unpredictable energies that could relate to men or male energy or masculine energy. This could also be like unexpected energy around aggression or, you know, Mars also is associated with the physical body. So this could be also like unexpected accidents or even ways that you're exerting yourself, because Mars represents the physical body and Uranus represents kind of like that unexpected quality. So you could go through something where it's like maybe you overexert yourself or you push something too hard or you're too aggressive with someone and it kind of comes out of nowhere for that person. But it's almost like that was like pent up energy that had to be released, or like you know, suppressed angst or anger that you had that had to come out. You know, I'm thinking about something I went through today, even where this was like exactly what happened. And that's because also Mars in Libra, when it was transiting in Libra, you know, it was storing up a lot of energy. Mars is actually at detriment in Libra. It wants to be in Aries where it can release that energy more quickly. But when Mars is in Libra, it keeps it stuck in kind of thinking about things back and forth and trying to be almost like too nice or too people pleasing. Venus is exalted in Libra. You know, Mars is not. Mars is the opposite. It wants to be in Aries. So there could be stuff coming up now where it's like you've been kind of like absorbing and repressing some feels for maybe like, you know, the past 4 to 6 weeks, and now you're over it. You're done, you know. So part of this new moon in Sag could be also releasing anger, because we do have those tense aspects with like Venus square Chiron and these other things I was talking about. And then we also have this Mars opposed Uranus, which is significant. So Mars in Scorpio is a very exalted Mars because Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars as well as Pluto. And it's definitely a Mars that's about getting to the bottom of things, getting things done. So this is a time that you might be excavating some of your deeper, more repressed feelings around anger issues or things that maybe you need to release. This is a good time for releasing, even though it is a new moon. And sometimes these kind of awakenings or epiphanies about what to release or push out could come about unexpectedly, or they could come about as a result of something that just really irritates you because it's not resonating with your self-worth or making you feel of value, you know. And it could be related to like a single individual doing that to you, or even just like something in society where you feel like it's unfair, like undervalued, and there's anger that's coming out from that, you know. So it's definitely helpful to not suppress it further, because you've probably been suppressing it for a little while. So if it's coming up to the surface, let it come up and process it in as healthy and as positive and a productive way as you can. You know, apologize where you need to apologize, or take time to kind of vent those frustrations and those angers in healthy and safe ways, you know. But work with the energy, transmute the energy. Don't like stuff it down and suppress it. Also, we have this Venus sextile Mars going on, which will support that. So a good way to, you know, work this is also through channeling that Mars energy into working a plan, creating a structure for your life. You know, maybe you're needing to work a plan or create structure for your life that is something that actually provides you greater value, because this is all related, you know. So really good stuff here. There's a lot going on in this chart, and I definitely would encourage people to, you know, re-listen to this. I often re-listen to my videos. So definitely, you know, watch this a couple times, you know, play it in the background, because there's many different patterns going on astrologically, and you can kind of only digest, you know, a little bit at a time. So when you go back and you re-listen to things, you can process more and more layers. And like I said, definitely check out some of those things I was talking about, like the blog post I wrote, the ruler and the rebel, Saturn and Uranus in the same house. I'm so proud of this title. This title came to me in meditation, and this is a reflective piece for me about the Jupiter transit in Sagittarius and how that was in my second house with Saturn and everything with that. So it's a really powerful piece that I wrote as relates to my own life. And then also the shout out to my YouTube. So head over there, give videos that you watch likes, comments, subscribe, and then also the post that I wrote here, which I was talking about earlier on in this video, about what's happening in Australia and the reading special I'm doing for the next few days, where I'm doing a 100% donation for 3 card spreads. So check that out on my page. And I don't know if I can actually copy this link. If I can copy that link to this post exactly, I will do that in the YouTube description, or comments rather. I'll put it in the comments. I might be able to share this exact link to you guys. So you can see if you're not on Instagram or haven't seen my Insta story about everything. So I'm sending you all so much love and light. Have an enjoyable new moon in Sagittarius. If you're on my newsletter, you can expect to hear from me within the next couple days. The next issue will be coming out. If you're not on my newsletter and you'd like to be, which I highly recommend you join it, definitely go to the link that's in the description of this video. It will be on both the Facebook and the YouTube videos, and click the link to my website. On the home page, there's a sign up box where you can put your name and your email, and yeah, then you'll be subscribed for future issues. So if you do that and the next issue has gone out, you're welcome to email me or DM me on Instagram to make sure that you get like the last issue that went out. I can link you up to it. I would also recommend people to contact me best through email or Instagram DMs. You can definitely message my inbox on Facebook. Sometimes though, I get so many notifications on Facebook that they get buried, the messages. I do my best to check it every day, but I also check my email account every day, and I'm often on Instagram all the time. So, you know, there's multiple ways that you can get in touch with me if you're interested in getting set up to pay for a reading or what have you. I'm doing a huge upgrade to my website. So right now there's not very much information on my website about my reading types, and that will be changing in a huge, huge way. But for now, the best way to learn about getting a reading is actually to just message me and chat directly to me. So sending you all so much love and light. Have a good weekend and an enjoyable new moon. Much love.